Yo, what's going on, people? It's your man the White Bee back once again. So, whoops, my bad. Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora. Now, the decision was a split one, 116, 112. Fundora ended up winning in the end, but Tim got a 116, 112. I think the other two judges were 116, 112 for Fundora and 115, 113 for Fundora. Listen, I don't score things round by round. I don't think you can run. It's a fight. It's not a. We ain't playing ping pong here, right? Oh, the ball come off the table. There's more. In my the way I score things, there's more of a spiritual element. Yeah. Now, for example, yeah. When Canelo Alvarez fought Bivol, he could never have won that fight. Why? He ain't do nothing. Mr. Pressure Fighter, yeah, he backing up, about to cry, feeling sorry for himself. Carrot Top didn't have no cut on his head. Carrot Top didn't have no blood in his eye. Yeah? He just didn't want to fight. He a bully. Carrot Top like punching up small dudes who can't fight someone his level. Trying to throw his toys out the pram and cry, and then not even giving Bivol his props, trying to steal the win. The point is, people, no one, and that's the thing, like Bivol won 115, 113. How you can't ever. The guy you're he should have been stopped, or he should have been battered some more, for sure. The fact Fundora wasn't even throwing hard shots. He was like, he wasn't throwing hard shots, and he wasn't turning off Tszyu. This guy's lost half a litre of blood. Do you know how hard it is to, like, when you're fighting someone that lanky, who's got range control, who's got a jab in your face constantly? Do you know how tiring it is, even with both eyes? Do you know how tiring it is to constantly, and Tim in to do that whilst losing blood for 12 rounds and trying to throw hard shots and landing hard shots, and Tszyu maintained accuracy. To do that with all them factors, at the end, Tszyu trying to throw his hands, trying to win. Yeah? So in my mind, I can't say Tszyu won it, but it should be a draw. Tszyu didn't show me he should have lost his belts. Carrot Top, 100%. Carrot Top should have been banned from 168 for that performance at 175. Yeah? He should have been sent back to 160. Because you ain't a true fighter. Tszyu a true fighter. Yeah? And it was Fundora's job. In that condition, there's no way. Who here thought? I mean, even in round 3, the doctor was looking at it. They was thinking about stopping the fight there and then. And Tszyu came out in round 3, round 4, sorry, almost nervous that the fight was going to be stopped. So, from Fundora, there's no way Fundora won the fight either. You can't win a fight with a dude who can't see from round 4, can't see a lick of nothing for 8 and 9 rounds, and you're that big and long. Tszyu should have been punched up. And I saw Tszyu, his face in the press conference once they cleaned him up. If you actually compare it, Fundora's face was more battered than Tim Tszyu's was. How's that possible, people? He couldn't see. And it wasn't like a cut. We've all seen cuts before where it's literally Tim Tszyu's cut was bang, square bang there, and it was draining clean into his eye. And no doubt, it mingles into all the eyes. Simple as that. Tim Tszyu had half an eye for 9 rounds, and Fundora ain't do nothing. In fact, I can't tell you one hard shot Fundora landed the whole fight. I saw plenty of Tim Tszyu shots that were landing. And when you got that kind of range advantage, you got to be doing more than Fundora was doing. He played it way too political for a man in Tim Tszyu's state. And the fact that I saw them first 2 rounds, them first 2 or 2.5 rounds, Fundora weren't doing nothing with that range. Fundora couldn't get his jab off because Tim Tszyu was too full of beans. He could see what he was doing, and that's the bottom line. That said, I have to respect Fundora. Fundora took the fight on 12 days' notice, but so did Tszyu. Tim Tszyu went from fighting a washed-up Keith Thurman to fighting a big lanky dude, 6'2" or whatever it is, 6'3", 6'4" even, a southpaw as well. That is some real stuff, people. That is some real stuff from Tim. Fundora had nothing to lose. Fundora had no belts. Had no he'd been knocked spark out in his last fight. He's been knocked spark out in his last fight. Had no belts, no relevancy. He might as well have took the fight on 12 days' notice. Tim Tszyu had it all to lose. No one would have blamed Tim Tszyu for saying, yeah, I'll just stay busy. That's what I'll do. Yeah, and Fundora don't make sense. He could, in fact, he could have. No, we know now. He could have cancelled the Keith Thurman fight and just rolled on into a Crawford or Spence fight easily. So the fact he took this and then showed us what he showed in the first 2 rounds, and even after the first 2-3 rounds, that he won all of them. It wasn't like he was out of the fight as I expected him to. After I watched that cut, I thought, okay, Fundora's going to punch his head in. He can't see nothing. He didn't do nothing though. It's the truth. He didn't do nothing. Fundora really didn't change. Fundora was doing the same thing he was doing with or without the cut. And it just so happens that Tim Tszyu couldn't be as effective. Because he can't see. And when you're fighting someone that long, who's happy to sit back and just sit at range, you have to be able to see. You have to be able to see what's coming so you can move and counter. You have to see what's coming so you can get your own work off. It's impossible. You can't... it's hard enough fighting someone with that range when you can see properly. But Tim was making it look easy. So yeah, I got this fight a draw. Tim should have kept his belts and then run it back. That's what should happen, I believe. Fundora doesn't believe, or Fundora didn't deserve to be completely mugged off. Tim Tszyu should have kept his belts, and there should have been a... And I think Tim Tszyu's a real guy, man. He's a real guy. He ain't a weird guy like that. If Tim Tszyu had won on by, or if Tim Tszyu had a draw and maintained his belts, he'd have run it back. That's what should happen now. And I hope Fundora runs it back, because that weren't a definitive win. Take the cut out, and who knows, maybe you take the cut out and still Fundora somehow comes on, but I didn't see enough. I don't see how Fundora was doing what he was doing for the first 2 rounds. Fundora didn't show me nothing that changed, and Tim was handling it fine until he couldn't see. And even when he couldn't see, he wasn't out of the fight. I think he probably, if you go strictly by the scorecards, 116, 112 for Fundora makes sense. But I can't, sitting here as the person I am, I can't sit here and say Tim Tszyu lost that fight, man. We've all watched people lose fights before. Tim Tszyu easily could have lost a fight. Most people today, 99% of boxers would have lost that fight, clearly. Yeah, they got cut. Oh, let me change my... Carrot Top. If Carrot Top got a cut like that, he'd be backpedaling like you wouldn't believe, just trying to survive. And then jump on the ropes, trying to make... let me see if the judges can rob this one for me. That's what he'd do. He ain't trying... Carrot Top, he don't want to stop Charlo. Jamel was food. Scared to death. Carrot Top don't even have a desire to get stuck in when there's nothing coming back. Tim Tszyu in there, no eyes, and he trying to squabble still with a big lanky dude in front of him. I rate that. I rate that hard. It would have been a lovely ending. Obviously, I'm happy for Fundora. It's not his fault, but it would have been a lovely ending if Tim Tszyu could have got some of them shots off. He hit Fundora clean a few times. Wasn't enough to get him out of there, but that would have been an amazing ending. Tim Tszyu deserved in that round 11, round 12 to catch Fundora and knock him spark out. That would have been a great end to that fight. It wasn't the way, but we need a rematch. That's not finished in my mind. I'm sorry. Oof. Underwhelming from Fundora. Some people say, well, that's all you need to do is win. I don't know. Not how I look at things. Not when someone's in that condition. Yeah, I can't justify that kind of win from Fundora and leaving it there and moving on. And in all due respect, I think Fundora I mean, is the Errol Spence fight more money? I don't think Errol Spence really wants to fight Fundora. It's not the same ring to it. Tim Tszyu's got the money and the clout and the name relatively behind him. Fundora, not so much. So Fundora, I think the Tim Tszyu fight is as big as, especially being a rematch, right? When a big star loses, like when AJ lost to Ruiz, people want to see the rematch. They don't want to see, for example, there was no demand for Andy Ruiz going on to fight some random dude. Or even if Andy Ruiz was to fight Tyson Fury at the time, it wouldn't have been as big as the AJ rematch. We want to see, can this champion come back? So hopefully the Tszyu and Fundora fight happens again. And I believe, listen, obviously, Tim Tszyu's got to be careful. I'm not absolving him of responsibility here. You got to not put your head down, bottom line. And that's another thing I like about Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu's a pressure fighter, yeah? You never see him clinching. I think I watched 12 rounds, I saw maybe 3 clinches in the whole fight between both men. That's how I believe clinching should be banned. Clinching is not part of boxing. Tim Tszyu wasn't falling in and clinching on, and even Fundora. A lot of them lanky dudes, Klitschko and even Lennox Lewis, they just kind of get their work off and clinch. It ruins boxing. That's not what the game's about, in my opinion. Yeah, if you don't want to fight anymore, put your hands up and defend, or move your feet backwards. You don't need to be hanging on to dude. It's not called hugging. It's called boxing. Yeah, it's not called clinching. Go and roll on the floor with the mixed martial arts dudes if you want to do some, if you want to get some mat work in. Yeah, we ain't doing that over here. So I rate Tim Tszyu, I rate Fundora for that. A sad, is it sad ending? It's just some it's the boxing game. Like Tim Tszyu said, and I love Tim Tszyu even more for how he was after the fight. He ain't with all the excuses. He said, listen, the better man won tonight. It's boxing, it happens. I'm a throwback fighter, and he showed that for me tonight. He went out trying to fight. And I believe he would have Tim Tszyu, watch what you saw here, yeah? He had very limited visibility. Did you see it really change his game at all? Right? And if Fundora had tried, he probably would knock Tim Spark out, and that's what I respect. Tim Tszyu lost this fight, but trying to win. It just so happens that Fundora didn't have the spite about him. If Fundora had come to fight, he'd have knocked Tim Tszyu out, I reckon. In that condition. He'd have stopped him. Which is a credit to Tim Tszyu. He was begging to be stopped for the last 6 rounds, really. With that kind of visibility, there's no reason. And Fundora was clearly getting more of his work off. He just weren't putting nothing behind it. So Tim Tszyu was looking to travel to Valhalla. He was waiting to be set there. Fundora ain't want to take him there. He didn't want to do it. Tim Tszyu running in the whole night. He running in, getting caught and trying to put heavy singles together, which is really all you can do in that condition. If you can't see, how are you going to put 3 shots together? Tim Tszyu was trying to put one together, especially with that range as well. This guy's so lanky. You hit him once maybe, and then he's going to be pulling back or whatever, or sticking something in your face by the time the second shot comes. And with such a low visibility, there's a risk as well. The minute you start flurrying and you can't see nothing, you get hit in between your shots, and it's night for you. The best thing you can do is get one shot out and then get on your defense, and that's what Tim did. But he didn't do it politically either. Tim Tszyu, if you watch his shots, Tim Tszyu, with visibility, with eyes or not, he was throwing the same way throughout the fight. He wasn't as fruitful as such. In the first 2 rounds, he was on dude's ass. Naturally, you can't see, so Tim Tszyu essentially punching in the blind. He got his eyes closed, just hoping, but he made that look good, and that has to hold value here. I don't care what no one says. No one can watch that fight and says, yeah, Tim Tszyu deserves to lose his belts on that performance. Not in my book. He should be going home with his belts and looking forward to a rematch and working on not getting cut. Because you don't have to. Fundora ain't a dirty fighter. Fundora ain't one of them big guys who are always pushing your head down or doing weird things with his forearms. So Tim Tszyu just got to make sure you don't fall in, and that is on him. I ain't gonna lie. It was half a schoolboy error there. Yeah, and it's a lesson to be learned. Don't try and find, like I said, let me just dip my head. Then the taller guy can't hit me. Oops, you hit an elbow. So find another way. Don't come walking in with your head and then dip your head straight down. It's just an accident waiting to happen, as he found out. And throughout the rest of the fight, things can just happen unluckily. But throughout the rest of the fight, Tim, he weren't falling as much, or at all. he made sure to keep his defense on point. That was a sloppy moment. Oh, I'm going to put this, whatever shot it was, a right hand or whatever, I'm going to put a right hand in and I'm going to lean in and fall into it. Which, strategically speaking, is a smart move. You bang your right hand, drag your back foot with it, and just fall in. No one can punch nothing. And grab onto his hips. Next thing you know, elbows clipped to your head. But yeah, good fight though. It was inspiring to watch that. Overall though, there's levels to this game. Neither man, Fundora ain't good nothing with Crawford. Crawford way too quick. The things we were seeing from Tszyu, Fundora can't beat Tszyu again. I wouldn't have thought. That cut was fight defining. But what we saw from Tszyu, I'm even more confident. Crawford knock him out. Crawford does too much, but that's a different story. Tszyu versus Errol Spence would be interesting though. But I still want to see this Fundora. I think, yeah, I need to see Fundora. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Fundora would have looked like that anyway. I need to see it again though. Tszyu versus Fundora is the player I want to see. I don't want to see Tszyu versus Crawford or Tszyu versus Spence. I actually want to see Tszyu versus Fundora again. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button, subscribe. Let off the bell, 100%. No doubt about this one, people.